Hello friends, welcome to my channel. We're doing things a little bit differently today, so I imagine we'll be drawing in some different people. So welcome to my channel. I usually am on here talking about fashion and pageants, but this week we're starting a different series, a lot more personal series, talking about pregnancy and our fertility journey. So throughout this video, you'll be seeing some little clips and even some longer videos that I filmed along the way, but it was not really my intention to have this series because I honestly didn't think it would take this long to have a baby. And so when I very first started, the first clip you'll see is January of 2020. I was 1 month off of getting off birth control and checking with my doctor. All right, so I just got off birth control beginning of the year, so I had to go back and do my blood work again so they could figure out if my prolactin levels have leveled out. So to see if we're ready to start trying when we're ready. Fingers crossed. When I decided to film that appointment, I genuinely thought, I didn't have a YouTube channel, had no plans to get a YouTube channel. I just thought, it'd be kind of fun for when we get pregnant to have a few clips that I could put together into a fun announcement video. So I really thought I would have like a couple clips of doctor's appointments and then like the positive pregnancy test video and telling Jordan video, like just 5 minutes worth of cute content that I'd put together. And that was 16 months ago. So we have a lot more than 5 minutes of content. So because of that, I just felt inspired that, I'm sitting on all this content. I'm now more open about sharing about it on Instagram and kind of the journey that we're on. So I'm like, I don't have to wait until we have a baby to start sharing the journey it took to get there. I'm just gonna start now and go from there. So if you have watched my videos before or not, you should know pregnancy, fertility journey. It's gonna get personal. We're talking about bodily functions, fair warning, but that's what we're talking about. So you've been warned. So we'll take it all the way back to the very beginning. So in 2016 is kind of where things started. I just happened to notice that occasionally on my period, I would have some leaking, like milk production type leaking in my bra. And I thought that maybe this was something that happened to everyone and people just didn't talk about it. So I texted my sister who works in ultrasound, and since she works in a hospital, I just assume she knows everything. So I texted her and I was like, haha, does this ever happen to you? And my sister and I's relationship, the way she responded, I knew it was something out of the ordinary, because I kind of expected like a haha, no, that's weird, or something to that effect. But her immediate response was so clinical. It was like one side, both sides, what color, what consistency, how often, like just going off on this list. And I was like, oh shoot, like, does this mean something's actually wrong? So then that started my initial journey. I had ultrasounds of my breasts. I had ultrasounds of like my ovaries, had an MRI, all kinds of stuff for them to finally figure out I have a Rathke cyst on my pituitary gland in my brain. So basically all that means it's teeny tiny. It's not like a brain tumor that needs operated on or anything crazy like that. It's just a teeny tiny little thing, but since it's on my pituitary gland, which is not a doctor and science is not my best subject, but from what I understand, it's on the pituitary gland, which is connected to your hormones. So the pressure on that gland can mess with your hormones and your hormone production, aka milk production, which is what I had going on. So we figured that out, but they didn't know just how elevated my levels were because I was also on birth control, which also messes with your hormones. So they were like, well, it doesn't seem to be doing much now. At the time, it was leaking very, very rarely. And so they're like, well, if it doesn't bother you, we'll just kind of take a watch and see approach and just leave it at that. So that was literally weeks before I won the title of Miss Idaho USA, and then things just like took off. I was so busy, didn't even have time to think about it again. Then flash forward to like 2019, we got married in June, and I had wanted kids forever. I mean, Jordan and I both wanted kids, but we got married when I was 28. And to me, I was like, I wanted kids like 8 years ago. I wanted to be a young mom, and that clearly was not happening. So when we finally got married, I was like ready to get off birth control as soon as possible. I'd been on it for 10 years at that time. And I think one of the biggest, again, not a doctor, but one of the biggest lies that we hear is that birth control is such a low dose, it doesn't really affect you. Let me tell you, and I've also talked to many other people, birth control messes with your hormones. It is not natural. It can cause issues. So I've been on it for 10 years. We got married. I was ready to get off it like immediately. Jordan was like, oh, it'd be kind of nice for like the first little while of our marriage to not have to worry like, oh my gosh, are we gonna get pregnant right away? Like, he wanted to be able to enjoy marriage, which I get, but we'd been together for 6 years at that point, and I was like, I want a baby now. So we made a compromise. I stayed on birth control through the end of that year of 2019. So took my last dose of birth control Christmas 2019, made an appointment with my endocrinologist. They study hormones and things like that for January, because they could not look into my hormone levels until I got off birth control, so they could see really what the pituitary cyst was doing to my hormones. So got off the pill, and that's really where the story starts.
Okay, so got the blood test results back, and I needed to be below 29 in my prolactin levels, and I'm 27, yay! So that's good, but he's had me do some more blood work today so that we can check my thyroid and make sure I'm good there, because if I'm at what I was last year, I'd be like at risk for miscarriage or preterm labor and things like that, which we don't want. So more blood work and more waiting, but some good news at least, yay!
So off I went. They told me it usually takes people about 3 months for your body to self-regulate after getting off birth control. After about 3 months, you'll see your period come back, and then it takes a couple months to like really get set back to that 28-day rhythm. So by 3 months, my period still had not come back. So I called my doctor and was like, hey, period hasn't come back, just, checking in. And they seemed so unbothered by that. They were like, oh yeah, that happens, just be patient. So I was. However, around that same time, I noticed that the leaking had gotten, or the milk production had gotten significantly worse. So I started tracking in March how often it was happening, one side, both sides, AM, PM, things like that. I would literally wake up in the middle of the night with like a wet spot on the side of my shirt. And it was just uncomfortable and annoying and frustrating. And so I just started tracking it to see if it was getting worse. And by the month of June, I had leaked through my shirt 21 days out of the month of June, which it had just been getting worse and worse each month. So my appointment with my endocrinologist, my follow-up was scheduled for end of July, and I called them end of June, and I was like, hey, it's been 6 months. My period has not come back. This is how much more I'm leaking. I leaked 21 days this month. This is not normal. And finally, I felt like they were semi-concerned, and they're like, wow, yeah, that's not normal. You should come back in. So made my appointment. We moved it up. I think they were able to move my appointment up like 3 weeks. So not a big deal, but I saw them beginning of July. I was already frustrated at this point because in my mind, we got off birth control at Christmas. I knew it would take a few months to regulate, but I hoped by our 1 year anniversary in June, we would have the all clear and that would be our time to start trying. But now we're at beginning of July and I'm just now at this follow-up appointment.
All right, 6-month follow-up to get more blood work done. Still in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, so I've got my mask. Yay! So I had my 6-month follow-up with my doctor, ended up going in a couple weeks early, just because my symptoms seemed to be getting worse rather than better. Got my blood work back and everything came back just about the same, which is good in some ways, but now they just can't figure out what's going on with me. So until they get things figured out, we're not allowed to start trying. And we're finally ready to start trying. So kind of frustrating.
So they had me go in and get a breast ultrasound just to make sure there was not anything going on in there. That again came back normal. So my doctor or my endocrinologist said, okay, well, we could start you on something called bromocriptine. And I was like, I don't want to start a drug just because of my symptoms. Like, I want to get to the root of this issue. And so I sought a second opinion. So I didn't have an OBGYN yet in Utah. So I asked friends, coworkers, and everyone I called. It was like a 3-month wait to even get in. And at this point, I know it's only been like 6 months, but I was frustrated. I didn't want to wait another 3 months to see someone. So finally I found an OBGYN, and she was able to get me an appointment 6 weeks out, which seemed a lot more manageable. So I met with her in August.
All right, off to meet my new OBGYN. Got my mask, and we're ready to roll.
Explained everything that was going on, and she was like, you know, normally I would tell you to see an endocrinologist, but since you came to me from an endocrinologist, we'll see what we can do. So first things first, she was like, you haven't had a period in 8 months. That's very unhealthy because your body hasn't been able to shed. And so she was like, if your period does not come back this month, I know you don't want to, but you need to go do 1 cycle of birth control just to force your body to have a period, to just to flesh that all out, so that you don't have any issues with, like, I think it was clotting or anything like that. So that was frustrating, but at least someone had told me that, because I was frustrated no one had mentioned that at this point. But then she did a pelvic exam, and she was like, I think your ovaries are a little enlarged, so we should get that looked at as well. So then I went in and did a pelvic ultrasound, and they looked at everything, got my results back a few days later, and once again, they're like, everything looks great, everything looks healthy. And again, this is all good news, but it's frustrating because I was like, I'm still not having a period, I'm having these symptoms, but all my blood work, all of these tests, everything is coming back that everything's fine. So my OBGYN at that point was like, you know, I don't know what to tell you. I think your best bet would be to go on the medicine your endocrinologist recommended. So at that point, I did start the bromocriptine. Within a few weeks, the leaking stopped and my period returned.
Good morning. Haven't spoken yet today. It's August 28th, but I had to do a little video because it's been a very eventful week as far as these things go. So I think I updated you on my OBGYN appointment I had a couple weeks ago. Got a new doctor. She's super great. So I talked with her about all the things that have been going on, and during my exam she figured out that my ovaries were enlarged, so she wanted me to have that looked at. So this week I had my ultrasound on Wednesday, so they checked the size of my uterus and my ovaries, and test results came back that both were good. Yay, I'm normal. And that was all good news. But even better news, never thought I'd be excited for a period, but after 9 months, it was very exciting that that finally came back, which means the medication I've been on for the last month is working. So that is super awesome. Getting things finally taken care of. I will say, after 9 months, this period is kicking my butt. Thought about not going to work today because it hurts so bad, but just gonna power through.
So I went in to see my endocrinologist in September.
All right, it is September 9th. Just went in, got some more blood work done. I had to take some medication last night at about 11 and go in this morning fasting to do some more blood work and testing stuff. And I must say, I hated getting my blood drawn before all of this, but now I've done it so often, I gotta say, I'm a champ. Did 3 bottles today, or vials, I don't know what you call them. 3 little things out of this arm. Didn't even flinch. Didn't even have to sit there for 30 seconds to get unwoozy. I'm very proud of myself. Now, endocrinologist appointment next Wednesday. Fingers crossed, that'll be the last one. We shall see. 9 months in the making.
And he was like, okay, well, you're having a period now. You don't have any of these other symptoms. I think you're fine. You're fine to start trying, and just stop the bromocriptine once you get a positive pregnancy test.
So after 9 whole months of all the testing and all the medications and all the things, we finally just got the all clear that we can finally start trying to have a baby. It's gonna be I've been on baby 2020 train. It's already September 2020, so we're gonna try for baby 2021.
So I thought, okay, finally, it's been 9 months of doctor's appointments and blood work and whatever else, but we're finally here. We can finally start trying. So as you can see, I was very excited, very hopeful. We had finally gotten the green light, but as you will see in the next part of our video, it would not be a quick and easy journey after that point. So I'm gonna end part 1 here, and just to try and keep these videos somewhat shorter, I have a lot to talk about and a lot to fill you in on, and honestly I don't remember how much video content I have to insert here, so I don't want to make it too terribly long. But yeah, so this is part 1 of my pregnancy and fertility journey. I honestly did not set out to film all of this and create content around this, but here we are. We're 16 months at this point after getting off birth control, and we are still trying, still working on it, still trying to figure things out. So I figured it was about time I start sharing it, and I hope it's helpful to someone. The main reason I really got inspired to share this, because like I said, initially it was like, once we get pregnant, you share the journey it took to get there. But most people don't talk about it in the moment. And for me, I was like, I don't mind sharing this information with you. I'm not necessarily, even though I'm an introvert, which is maybe strange, I am not really afraid of talking about things and being open about these things. And so I thought, why not share it? For me personally, I only have one friend who has struggled with fertility. All my other friends get pregnant within the first month or 2 of trying, or without trying. So for me, being here 16 months post getting off birth control, I was definitely feeling like the black sheep, the odd man out, and I don't want you to feel that way. If you stumbled across this video, you were probably looking through YouTube, looking for someone on a similar path, on a similar journey, and hello friend, that would be me. So I just hope this is encouraging to other people that have gone through this, that have not had the journey that they anticipated with. Know that I'm here for you, and we're gonna go through this together. And hopefully one day in the not too distant future, we'll be able to celebrate together when I can finally upload a video announcing that we're pregnant. That is just the dream. So thank you so much for coming along on this journey with me. It's a little wild to be talking about this and sharing this with the entire world, but thank you for joining, thank you for tuning in. Questions, comments, tips and tricks below, I guess. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you can stay tuned with our entire journey. There's lots more to come. So thanks for joining. I'll see you next time.